Good afternoon, one and all. The goal of early childhood education should be active, the child's nature desire to learn. With this note, today, me, Afifa, and Kamarunisa ma'am will welcome all of you to our webinar on Montessori philosophy. And yes, then first of all, I would like to call our welcome program coordinator, Mrs. Rahima ma'am, and our dear Smita ma'am, senior faculty of NCDC. Then before the webinar, I would like to call Sana ma'am for the small welcome speech.
Thank you, Afifa ma'am. A very warm good afternoon to one and all. I'm very delighted to welcome you all for today's webinar about Montessori philosophy. Firstly, with great honor, I would like to welcome our resource person. She's none other than our faculty, Mrs. Smita Krishnakumar, and I would like to also welcome program coordinator, Mrs. Rahima Rahim, and all my friends and guests present here. Welcome once again, and thank you.
I would like to call Rahima ma'am to address the event. Rahima. Okay. Then thank you, Sana ma'am. Then we can go for the session. Smita ma'am, please come.
Thank you so much, everybody. Good afternoon, all of you. And thank you so much for showing interest in this topic, that is Montessori philosophy. Okay, so as all of you know, it is a very vast topic. Montessori philosophy is a very vast topic, and it is very difficult to cover everything. It is just like an ocean. So in this given time frame, let me try to cover the essentials of the Montessori approach, and it will help you to understand the whole Montessori concept, okay, to an extent. And Salima ma'am, could you please share the slide? First slide. So first of all, let me ask you, let us discuss what is Montessori method of education. Okay, Montessori method of education is a child-centered educational approach based on the scientific observations of children from birth to adulthood. It was developed by Dr. Maria Montessori. It is a child-centered approach, just like kindergarten. It is another educational approach, and this was developed by Dr. Maria Montessori. Next slide. Everybody is familiar with her. She is Dr. Maria Montessori. Next slide. Next, let us go through the timeline of Dr. Maria Montessori. She was born in 1870, August 31, in Chiaravale in Italy. Her father was a financial manager and her mother was a very well-educated lady. That educating the ladies were very uncommon in Italy at that time. Only men were educated. There was a lot of gender discrimination happening in Italy. It was more of a conservative society. But Maria Montessori, from her childhood, her mother encouraged her to study, and she showed a lot of interest in math and science. And she graduated in math and physics in 1890, and later she decided to join the University of Rome for medicine. And there also she had to face a lot of gender discrimination, but still in 1896 she completed her graduation in medicine from the University of Rome and became one of the first female physicians to graduate from the university. And she focused her medical practice on psychiatry, okay, and she had an opportunity to take care of mentally challenged children in the psychiatric department in the University of Rome. And she understood that the prevailing educational system at that time was not enough for the mentally and intellectually challenged children. So she decided to develop her own educational system. And in 1900, she became the co-director of the Orthophonic Society and Orthophonic School, and it was funded by the University of Rome. And in 1906, she started her first school for the children of the slums. That is called Casa di Bambini, which meant the children, house of children. And Montessori, and by 1912, a lot of Montessori schools were opened in the Western Europe and in America. So Montessori's methodology became very famous, not only in mentally challenged children, but also in the normal children, and many schools started popping up. And Mario Montessori, that is Maria Montessori's son, and Maria Montessori came to Madras, that is Chennai, in 1939 for a 3 months visit for training. But later she had to stay there till 1946 because of the World War, and she met Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore, and started spreading Montessori education in the continent of Asia as well. And in May 6th, at the age of 81, in 1952, she peacefully died in Netherlands. So this is the time history of Maria Montessori. And as we said that, Maria Montessori concentrated on early childhood education because from her observation and her scientific, she was a doctor. So she had a scientific approach in education, and she understood that early childhood education has to be given a lot of importance. Like at that time also in Italy, early childhood was not given much importance. And this is one of the famous quote by Maria Montessori: the most important period of life is not the age of university studies. That is what we consider. We think that university studies are more important. But she says that the first one, the period from birth to the age of 6 years, that is most important. Okay, next slide. And she believed that every child is born with a natural tendency to learn and natural desire to learn, and the goal of early childhood education should be to activate the child's own natural desire to learn. Next comes the spiritual embryo. Okay, next. This is a very important concept or term used by Maria Montessori. Maria Montessori believed that, yes, we can change it to the next. Maria Montessori believed that humans have 2 embryonic stages. First is the postnatal or the antenatal, which includes physical development. Okay, development of the internal organs, development of the external organs. That is the embryonic stage. That means the stage inside the womb. And the second one is the postnatal stage. That is called the after delivery. That is after the womb, after the child comes out of the womb. Inside the womb, the child had a different world, and outside the world, the child is having another world, which is totally different. So the spiritual embryo, actually, Maria Montessori called this period as a spiritual embryo. Why? Because she believed that a newborn child is blessed with great psychic and potential powers. And there are certain factors for these potential powers. One of the such factors is the absorbent mind. Okay, so when the child is born, we think that, okay, this child is very weak, helpless, because his muscles is weak, he's tiny. So we think that the child cannot do anything, it does not have any potential. But actually, the child is born with lot of psychic potential, mental potential, and one reason for this is the absorbent mind. Okay, can you please move on to the next slide? Absorbent mind. It is the capacity of the mind. It is like a sponge-like capacity of the brain to absorb information from the environment. This is what the child does. And in the first early stages, that is 0 to 3 years old, this absorption is unconscious, is effortless. It just absorbs like a sponge. Whatever it is happening in the environment, it absorbs like a sponge. This is how the child learns language, the child learns culture, child learns to adapt to his climate, etc. Okay, and this is called the absorbent mind. Is that clear? Because of this absorbent, the special capacity of the brain, we call it as a spiritual embryo. Okay. Next, which are the components of the absorbent mind? The absorbent mind has 4 components, that is harmony, inner teacher, mimi, and nebulae. For example, harmony, in order for the light to glow, there should be electricity, some kind of energy, right? Same way, harmony is the energy or energy inside any human being, or we can call it as a spirit. Okay, so this is the energy. Harmony is the energy inside us. Everybody needs that harmony to be alive. This is the energy inside us. And the next is the inner teacher. See, in Montessori, Maria Montessori, through her scientific research, has found out that a teacher cannot, no teacher can teach the child. The child has to learn on his own. That is the inner teacher. See, for example, the child learns his mother tongue on his own, right? Nobody is teaching him. He is just absorbing it. The child is learning to walk on his own, crawl on his own, sit up on his own. So all these things is done by the inner teacher. And then is the mini. Mini is the memory. So for adult memory is storing information and recalling it whenever is required, right? Yes or no? And the memory in adults, the memory is to store information. Memory stores the information and recalls it whenever it's necessary. But here, meaning is again a memory, but it is an unconscious memory. The child cannot recall it, but it shapes the personality, character, behavior of the child in his later adulthood. Okay, so meaning is a memory in the first 3 years, it is unconscious. And from the next 3 years, that is 3 to 6 years, slowly it starts becoming conscious. The child starts becoming conscious in his actions. Okay. Next is the nebulae. Nebulae is enormous latent potentialities that waits to be awakened. That is, a child has a mathematical mind, child has music abilities, child has speech abilities, right? Inside, it is hidden. Latent means it is hidden inside it. We need to awaken it through the experiences. For example, he has musical ability, but if the child during the first 3 years or during the first 6 years does not listen to any music, this this ability will die off. Okay, so there are hidden potentialities, that is nebulae, inside a child baby, but that has to be awakened through experiences and with the environment. That is why, as parents and teachers, we have to understand that, or we have to create an environment or create opportunities for the child to develop these potentialities. Any doubt you can ask me, okay? Is that clear? Now, another characteristics of the spiritual embryo. So, one of the characteristics of the spiritual embryo was absorbent mind. Okay, another characteristics of the spiritual embryo is the sensitive period. Okay, sensitive period is a stages in a child's development when they are capable of learning. When they are capable of learning specific knowledge areas and skills. For example, the child has a capability of learning language. The child has a capability, yes. The 5 main categories of sensitive period is order, language, sensory skills, movement, and social skills. These are the sensitive period. So, this sensitive period of order, that is the 5 main categories. Okay, sensitive period of order. During the first 5 years of, or the first 6 years of life, children move through 5 main categories of sensitive period, and this first one is order. This sensitive period begins from birth and peaks in the 2nd year of development. By the time the child reaches 2nd year, this sensitive period is at its peak, and it continues throughout to around 5 years. Okay. This period of development teaches the child how to their reasoning skills, organize information, understand their environment. And during this period, children become more interested in putting things in order, packing things away, and they struggle. They desire for more consistency and repetition. Okay, that is why we say that, for example, if we give the child, a small child, a bath at 7 o'clock, every day you should give the child bath at 7 o'clock. One day you give the child morning 7 o'clock, late. Tomorrow you give the child 8 o'clock. That is not correct, because the child has a human tendency for maintaining the order in his life. Same way for the sleep pattern, eating, and the room which he sleeps. That is why sometimes when we take the child to a friend's house or for a stay over, the child gets cranky because he is used to the consistency. He is used to the room which he sleeps. And also this is the time you can instill arranging the house or keeping the house in order, properly arranged. Okay, this is the time. Next comes and we can establish in the first, during that 2 years old, we can establish routine and an organized environment where everything has a place. So it is very important for teachers or the parents to keep everything in order. Don't think that this is a small child, he will not understand, but it absorbs the environment. Keep that point in mind. The child absorbs the environment. The next is the language. From birth to 6, children again are very sensitive in language. There are 3 key phases. One is the spoken language, one is the written language, and one is reading. Okay. Spoken language. When do you think that the child starts communicating with the mouth through voices? Yes, the period it was born, it starts communicating, right? Babbling, cooing, all these things. It is trying to communicate. So actually the sensitive period starts from 7 months to 3 years of age. This time you have an opportunity to develop the speaking skills of the child. You can introduce the child to rhymes, the songs, vocabulary, stories, and talking to the child, so that the child will start talking, because this is the peak time. This is the best time you can develop the language, speaking skills of the child. Spoken language. That is how this mother tongue. The child catches the mother tongue very easily because of this sensitive period and with the help of absorbent mind. Okay. And the next, writing. When do you think writing starts? Around 3.5 years old. That is when we start introducing writing. That time the child starts scribbling on the walls, scribbling on the table, scribbling on his dad's office files. It does, because that is a God-given gift for the child to develop the writing skills. So this time, how the parents and teachers can help him? Lot of activities to develop the fine motor skills, or lot of writing materials or coloring materials you can provide the child. Okay, why are we learning this? So that you can act accordingly, because the need of the child changes. Because every time the child's needs are changing accordingly, we need to change the environment and experiences for the child. Next, reading. Reading starts from 4.5 to 5.5. That is the time when the sensitive period of reading. So that time you can give him reading classes. Okay, small CBC words, alphabets, all you can introduce to the child at that's during that age. Okay, 3.5. Then sensory skills. At this time, the child learns mostly through his senses. Okay, by touching, tasting, smelling, hearing. So lot of sensorial experiences should be given to the child. Next is movement. Okay, next is movement. That is, child has mainly 2 categories of muscles: gross motor muscles and fine motor muscles. Gross motor muscles is the big muscles, fine motor muscles are the small muscles, that is the pincer muscles, finger muscles. So lot of activities to this. The movement starts from birth to 2.5 years old. The big muscle starts working. That is the time when the child starts running, crawling, climbing. Hey, ma'am, could you please mute? Am I going too fast? Are you able to follow?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So movement, this is the movement. So lot of activities. The children should have enough space in the house for movement. Okay, and why Maria Montessori also believed that that movement, by moving, it actually stimulates the brain. Okay, movement is also is connected to intelligence. We think that by moving the muscles develop, right? That is physical. But Maria Montessori understood that movement, it need not be big movements. It can be a touch also. Okay, movement, that is muscle memory. It develops muscle memory, which is connected to the brain, which improves the intelligence of the child. That is why in her classrooms you can find that the children are free to move, especially during 0 to 6 years old, because movement is connected. Muscles are connected to the brain, as you now observe that. So increased movement will help the child for intelligence as well. Okay, next, social skills. Social skills, how the child develops the social skills by interacting with others, right? So during the first 3 years or first 2.5 years, the child wants to be with the mother or the father or the immediate family. The child wants to be with that. But after 2.5 years of age, the child's sensitive period of social skills starts. That is the time when you send them to the play school or you create a friends group, so that the child starts mingling with others. And if you know that this is the concept, this is the idea behind mixed age group in the Montessori class, because the social skills, sensitive period of social skills come to an end by 6 years age. So till 6 years we have mixed age groups in the class, so that the child can socially interact with others and develop good relationships with them. So that is why, as a parent, you have to allow the child to mingle with her peer group and also take them out for family get-togethers or functions, so that during this period the child is getting used of other people around him. Okay. Next. Next is the 4 planes of development. Okay. This is a holistic framework on which Maria Montessori built her vision on developmental psychology. Okay. According to Maria Montessori, she observed that a child undergoes 4 different stages of physical and mental development. It is not only physical but also mental development. And in every stage, there is a lot of that change is happening in the child. The needs of the child differs, okay, varies, and accordingly, as a teacher or an adult, directress or a parent, we need to give new experiences, or we need to create new environment for the child according to the new, according to the different stages. So you can find the horizontal line. The horizontal line is the age of the child. So it is divided into 4, 0 to 6, 6 to 12, 12 to 18, and 18 to 24. 0 to 6 is called the early childhood stage or the infancy stage. 6 to 12 is the childhood. 12 to 18 is the adolescence. And 18 to 24 is the maturity stage. Okay. And as you can see, there it is not linear. The growth is not linear. There is ups and downs, peaks and troughs in the in this picture, in this illustration. So 0 to 3, slowly it develops. All the characteristics develop slowly, and from 3 to 6 it peaks. And then the next stage starts. The characteristics 6 to 9, it is again down, the characteristics. Then but 9 to 12, it peaks. Same way 12 to 15, 15 to 18 is and 18 to 21 and 21 to 24. Is that clear? Next. I have found that in his development, the child passes through certain phases, each of which it has own particular needs. The characteristics of each are so different that the passages from one phase to another have been described by certain psychologists as rebirth. That means 0 to 6 years old, and from 6 to 12 years old, they are considered as a rebirth. Because the needs, characteristics, everything changes. It is a positive way, okay, in a positive way. Now, characteristics of the first plane, that is 0 to 6 year old. The question is always, what is that? Amma, what is this? What is that? What is this? What is that? What is this? What? Always the question. And mostly they explore through their senses. And as I told you in the beginning, absorbent mind, sensitive periods are all very strong during this first plane. Okay, and in the first half, that is 0 to 3, absorption is unconscious or learning is unconscious, and from there 3 to 6, it starts becoming conscious. Okay, can you go through it? Salima ma'am, could you please read it?
Period of physical and spiritual construction, need to feel loved and protected, mind doesn't choose for itself, period of adaptation to surrounding environment, development of ability to formally communicate, development of coordinated movement, spontaneous physical movement, use of sensory organs important, work alone or in parallel, need for purposeful work.
Is that clear? Okay, so during the first 0 to 3 years, the child has to be in an environment where it can meet all these needs. Okay, these are the needs. Child should be allowed to work independently or parallelly. Parallelly means not group. One child will be working here, the other child will be working there, but in the same room. They learn to do that. Okay, next. Second plane, that is the childhood, 6 to 12 years old. The question is, why is this so? Why is it happening? How is it? They start thinking, reasoning. We need more reasoning. Okay, more reasoning. Why is it? Could you please read it? If I have none.
Greatest potential for intellectual development, relatively calm and stable, disappearance of rounded, baby-like contours of the body and face, low speed, more robust and less quickly, ready to move from concrete learning to abstract learning, use imagination, need more internal than external order, adventurism, sense of justice, social herd instinct, big work like creating, researching, building, and
Okay.
hero worship.
Yes, this is the period between 6 to 12 years old. Are all these points clear? It starts, learning starts through imagination. Okay, imagination, and what is herd instinct? He starts by the age of 12, he starts thinking and behaving like the others in the society, in his family, right? In his family or in his society. That is herd instinct. That is without no reason. He will just follow what his family says or how his family behaves or how his society behaves. That is herd instinct. And big work means, here it means that creating, researching, building, collaborating, thinking, learning, questioning, imagining. For example, project work, like making a volcano, everything we can, I think, Salima ma'am, what happened? So everything the child can create on himself, like project work, group work, such things can be given to the child by that time. Okay. And hero worship, somebody, he will model somebody like a teacher or somebody he would like to imitate somebody. Okay. Next is the characteristics of the third plane. Third plane starts from 12 to 18 years old. Anjali ma'am, could you please read it?
Yes, ma'am. Idealism, need to discover their intended vocations, great change and relative instability, puberty, rapid physical and emotional changes, emotional and sensitive, need nurturing environment, need for respect, decrease in intellectual capacity, abstract learning.
Okay, is that clear? Need to discover their intended vocations. That means like what they want to become in life, a mentor or that is that they have the need to discover. That is what they say. I don't know what I want to become. They just want to know. That is a period of confusion. Okay, at that time they want, that is their need. What I want to become. And there is a lot of physical hormonal changes happening during that puberty stage. So mentally, physically, we need to give them a lot of love, care, and for them. And abstract learning, they start using. They don't need any more concrete materials for learning. When we say something, they can learn that they have already developed the abstract learning. Next. Fourth plane, that is 18, adult, their maturity, they are becoming an adult. As soon as the child reaches 18, he will not be an adult. He has to pass through these phases. By 24 only, he will mature to become an adult. Okay, we consider because of the voting age, we think that okay, 18 the child is mature, but lot of skill development is going on in that in that period. That is spiritual, emotional, and moral independence. Think about place in and contributions to society and humanity. How can I contribute to my society? How can I contribute to my humanity? He will have his own personal interest, starts developing personal interest and evaluation of social policies. Some of the social policies he may agree, he may disagree. Okay, he starts taking responsibilities, personal responsibilities. Is that clear? So the 4 planes of development is very important. Now, the 5 principles of Montessori approach. Okay, again, the 5 principles are respect for the child, the absorbent mind, sensitive period, the prepared environment, auto-education. Auto-education means self-learning. Okay. And respect for the child. As I mentioned earlier, Maria Montessori believed that every child has a natural intelligence, irrespective of his socio-economic or political culture or cultural states. Every child has a natural intelligence. We need to respect that. Every child has natural needs or human tendencies. We need to respect their needs. Respecting the uniqueness of every child. We know that every child is different. Every child is special. We need to respect that. Then their freedom. We have to respect their freedom to choose, to move, to correct their own mistake, to work at their own pace. Okay, all these things we need to respect. And we know the child has, whenever the child has the tendency to move, it has to move. It has to choose whatever activity he likes to do. It has the right or the freedom to do that. This should be respected by the parents, and they have to make an environment where the child is free to choose, free to move, free to make mistakes, and free to work at their own pace. That means we need not compare the child with any other child during this stage. Okay, we have, please go back. Yes. And they have to correct, they have to make mistakes. Sometimes we know that, okay, while the child is pouring, the child will spill water. But let them make that mistake, then they will learn how to correct it or how to find a solution if they have made a mistake. And is that clear? So first of all, in a Montessori environment, the child is respected. The needs of the child is respected. The freedom of the child is respected, the freedom. And next. And the likes and dislikes of the child is respected. And this is how a Montessori classroom looks like. It is called a prepared environment. an adult, okay, or a trained directress is preparing the environment according to the needs of the child. Look at this classroom. It is big enough, it is spacious, right? And it has an order, it has a beauty, it has a sense of harmony, and it gives the teacher is not very dominant. The teacher is one among the children, right? Working with the children, or the teacher is also called as the directress. And everything has a proper place. And look at the walls. The walls are not decorated. It is, brightly. They are light colored walls, and only minimum charts are used inside the class. And no fantasy pictures. Everything realistic pictures are used in the class. Or if you can use real photos of animals, the family pictures, or pictures of children running, real pictures of children running around, that will be more advisable in a Montessori classroom. And you need to change the pictures accordingly. Okay, every weekly you have to change the pictures. Otherwise, the child will get bored looking at the same pictures. Clear? Look at this environment. It's so peaceful, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, next slide. Prepared environment. Can you please read, Shakila ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Carefully prepared learning space, Montessori learning materials, sense of order, beauty and harmony, clearly defined curriculum areas or EPL and sensorial, maths, language, science and culture, left to right orientation. Everything has a purpose and a place. Assist children in developing logical thought processes. Children are free to follow their interest, choose their work, and progress at their own pace until independence in the child.
See, can you go back to the previous slide? And whatever you see, and can you relate to the points which Shakila ma'am just read? Montessori curriculum, everything has a different area. For example, EPL activities have a different area. Sensorial activity has a different area. Math has a different area. Language has a different area. Science and culture has another different area. And this promotes independence in the child, right? The child is not dependent. See?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next. Now is the Montessori materials. This is one of, again, a very important factor of the prepared environment. These are called the Montessori materials, or you can say it as an apparatus. It is clearly very with lot of vision, lot of scientific observation. Maria Montessori has designed these apparatus for the children. And she has, as I said, she has introduced new materials and also taken back a lot of materials from the classroom since she observed that children were not using it or it was not attractive for the child to use it. So she has removed certain materials and introduced some permanent materials in the Montessori classrooms. Next slide. And what are the qualities or features of this? These are very attractive, right? Very attractive. And this promotes hands-on learning. Again, I am telling you, when the child does anything with their hand, it gets stored in their muscle memory, and which again stimulates the brain. That is why we need to give lot of hands-on learning. And these materials provide that opportunity for hands-on learning. And these are didactic. It is not a toy. It has a purpose. It teaches the child something. Okay. For example, the pink tower. Pink tower is a sensorial apparatus. Okay, it teaches the child the different dimensions, volume, breadth, height, thickness. So different dimensions, visual discrimination of the dimensions. Okay, so these are didactic. And of course, each apparatus offer a challenge to the child. Okay, it is not something which is very easy. It offers a challenge to the child. And self-corrective. These are self-corrective. If the child has made any mistake, The teacher need not interfere or intervene and tell the child, okay, there is a mistake. The child himself or herself understands that there is a mistake. And it encourages repetition. The child would like to do again and again the same activity. The child will learn again and again. And when the child repeats that activity, he masters in that activity and he becomes, the concept is more clear to him. And concrete learning, yes, with hands-on learning, they have materials to learn and promotes auto-learning and independence. What is auto-learning? Self-learning. And the child becomes independent. He is not dependent on the teacher. Slowly we are developing these qualities in the child so that by the time he becomes an adult, he is a happy, independent being with a self of calmness and a lot of harmony inside him, who is ready to serve the society. Okay, next. Auto-learning. Again, I told the same thing, I'm repeating, self-learning. The prepared environment as a whole promotes auto-learning, is aimed to develop self-learning. And lot of freedom for the child. The child has the freedom to socialize. The child has the freedom to move. The child has to freedom to repeat. The child has the freedom to choose his activities. The child has the freedom to make mistakes. Okay, all these freedom is given to the child. So this promotes auto-learning. And Montessori materials, of course, it's a lot of auto-learning. And there are so many activities which has a purpose. And the directress is worthy of imitation. That means, for example, grace and courtesy. How can the child itself learn on his own? By looking at by observing the directress. She is worthy of imitating. That is, she herself models these qualities so that the child can observe and no need of teaching anybody. So, for example, you don't have to say, when you give the child a book, you don't have to say, or if you help the child, you don't have to say thank you. Say thank you. That is normally what happens, right? Say thank you. That is what. You don't have to teach the child. Instead, if if the child is helping you, or if the child is complimenting you yourself is saying, thank you so much. So that itself is a thing, something with the child models. Or if suppose if the child offers you a toffee or a chocolate, and if you don't want it, and if you really don't want it, what will you say? You will say, no, thank you. You don't say it, no. It may sound rude. So you have to use no, thank you. Same way, if you ask the child, something and he is not ready, he will also say no, thank you. Okay, so these are the things which the directress should always keep in her mind. So this prepared environment. Okay. Next, the role of the directress. This is a very brief way of explaining, okay, because of the time constraints. She prepares the environment. The directress prepares the environment. That means what? She makes sure that learning, the proper the environment is ready for the proper learning of the child. It is clean, it is neat, it is safe, it is secure, it has all the apparatus clearly arranged. And is it arranged from easy to difficult? Is it arranged in order? And is it correctly, if there is any damage, she has to replace it. So everything, this is the directress duty. She prepares the environment for the child. She is a keeper of the environment. She takes care of the takes care of the order and discipline of the environment, and she display and conditions of the material. She knows which all items should be displayed to the children according to their age and condition. Is it broken? Should it be repainted? Everything she takes care. Programming activities and challenges for the child. If the child is keep on repeating the same activity, she should understand that, okay, this child is ready for the next level. Okay, we have to arrange activities for the next level and guide the children to choose their activity. For example, she will not help the child to do the activity, but she knows according to the age which is the right activity for the child. So she helps the child to choose the activity and maintains order and discipline in the environment. That is what we discovered. And then also, this directress should have certain qualities. I think I have not prepared the slide. I think we have some time, we can include that as well. So, Maria Montessori has developed her system of education based on observation of children, right? She had observed the children, and that is how she developed the system. And she herself was a very great observer. And observation is the essence of Montessori approach. And why do we need to observe the child? Why should we observe the child? So that we can understand, we can see and understand the need of the child. To remove any obstacles from the development of the child, we need to really observe the child. And again, as during observation, we have the directress must be free of any judgment. She should observe it objectively, okay? She should be free of assumptions. She should be free of prejudices, and she should know when I should intervene. It is not interference. When I should intervene, and children, she should understand that she is just a guide there. Children learns everything on their own. She is just a guide there. Okay, and children should be active in the environment, and the directress or the teacher should be a passive participant. She should have good knowledge about the materials, what is the purpose, direct purpose, what is the indirect purpose, and she should learn to observe. She should learn to be, she should be calm, she should be patient, she should know how to control her impulses, okay, and she should keep every materials in order. And most importantly, she should have faith in the child that he will, in the course of time, he will discover himself. She should have that faith, okay? And she should, first of all, she should observe herself, that to remove all the negativities. It will take a long time. Theoretically, she will be ready, but practically, only through experiences, she will gain these qualities, okay? So you need to be very, very observant of the environment. At the same time, she should observe herself. Am I interfering too much? Am I able to remain calm? Am I observing enough? Am I able to understand the needs of the child? These things she should observe first. Okay. So with this, I think we can come to the an end to this Montessori, to my presentation of Montessori philosophy. I think I have covered some, portion. I have touched every areas, and later you can read books like the Discovery of the Child, Absorbent Mind by Maria Montessori. You can read such books, and you can listen to her speeches. Most of the books, the Maria Montessori's handbook, most of her books are written from the speeches she has made in different different places. That is how she have these books. So I really wish that everybody should understand the psychology of a child before becoming a parent or a teacher. Then only you can fully give justice to the development of the child. Most of us are unaware of all these things, and once we come to know that, then we start realizing, okay, I should have known this earlier. So I think this Montessori methodology should spread, because this is the methodology which gives, which aims at the well-being of the society as a whole, and to create happy, peaceful adults. Okay, so this is what I have to say. Any doubts regarding this? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so shall we wind up?
Yes.
Thank you so much, all of you, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Vote of
Yes.
Srina,
Thank you, Srina ma'am, for giving a brief explanation about Montessori philosophy. It's very helpful to everyone who are there in this webinar. Let's move on to out of thanks. Before that, out of thanks, if anybody is ready to tell feedback of this session, anyone can tell about this session, please.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to say that I think almost all portions have been covered. And if we want to learn more, no, there are lots of things to learn. We have to go deep inside. I think Smita ma'am has covered the basic things, but we as teacher and as parents should understand more about this and how we can practically apply this into our life and when we become teachers. So thank you so much, Smita ma'am, for covering all the portions and making it easy for us to understand. Everything you have explained is in simple terms, so we could easily relate and we could understand. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Salima ma'am, for your feedback. Next, vote of thanks. I would like to call Nusrina ma'am. Nusrina ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
thank you, Kamaru ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, a warm good afternoon to our honorable resource person, Ms. Smita ma'am, coordinator Rahima ma'am, my dear friends and everyone gathered here. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of those who worked really hard to make this webinar possible. I'm Nusrina on behalf of 52nd batch of NCDC. I extend a hearty vote of thanks to our resource person Smita ma'am, who spared time busy schedule. Today, we had an opportunity to hear your beautiful class on the topic child psychology, and this will surely help in our life, ma'am. You truly made this day enlightening for us. Your deep and intellectual way of imparting knowledge has added to the glory of this webinar. I also want to thank our Rahima ma'am for coordinating this webinar. Finally, I would like to thank you to each one of you who participated and supported this webinar. Thank you everyone for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Nusrina ma'am. Thank you.